Hi students, I'm going to give you guys the basics on how to create a comic with Comic Life. Now hopefully you have some images that you can use for Comic Life, and if not, you'll need to get some images scanned or take pictures of them with a phone or another device. You can email them to yourself, and then we'll be uploading them onto a flash drive that you can then use to help you build your comic. So each time you finish a picture, it's a good idea to scan it or take a picture of it and send it to yourself. And then you'll have them. You don't want to lose any of them. Keep the physical picture in your file folder in the classroom. And that way, if you realize that you haven't uploaded something, you'll have it with you. All right, so this is Comic Life. When you first bring it up, you'll see on your desktop a Comic Life icon. And that icon tells you that's the software we're going to be using. When you click on Comic Life, a lot of times it will want you to update. Please ignore that or you'll be wasting your time trying to update all the time. So we update it once a year. That's good enough. Now you get to pick which of these formats you're going to use. So it kind of depends on how you've laid out your images. So if you like to draw on, say, a rectangle, I'll bring this one up that's horizontal, like this sideways, then this would be a good option. So I don't have pictures that are that direction. You can see my pictures are vertical. That means they're top to bottom. So I don't want these kinds of squares. Now granted, I could pick some pages like this to put in. And yes, they make fun sounds. You'll notice that, okay? I could pick some of those to put in, so you can alter these and put your images in, but a lot of times you'll end up spending a lot of time resizing these if you pick a theme that doesn't match your typical pictures. So for example, if I drop him in like this or this lady in like that, I have to keep fiddling with her, or I have to resize the picture. So let's say I delete this, then I have to resize this, and I'll have to move this one out of the way so I can get that resized. So you'll spend a lot of time like trying to move this and reshape it, and yeah, you can spend a lot of time trying to reshape those. So instead, I'm going to try to find one that has at least some of the images done vertically. So I'll pick this one. Now I'm going to say I'm doing a Halloween horror story. So again, I might have to resize some of these. Maybe I'll get rid of this box, and you just highlight a box. So you click on it and then you hit your delete button on your keyboard to get rid of those. Now I can always move these little talk boxes later. So I'll just leave that one there, but I'm going to resize this. And it makes a funny squeaky noise when you do that. You want to make sure that you don't go clear off the page. Okay, you want it to stay within the borders of the page. And then when I drop this picture in here, it looks like that. Now, when you're ready to type, you just click into the text box and you type in whatever words you want. So your characters can talk, and you just bring this over. These little buttons here will direct the discussion bubble toward their mouth. But you'll notice this one is kind of outside of the bounds. So you can use these buttons up here to bring it to the front. If you're having trouble getting that to work, just delete it and grab a new one. Sometimes that's a real time saver, and that new one should come in over the top. So now I might say, hello, my name is Captain Flint. All right, and then over here I might take Captain Flint again. Maybe I want to move her around a little bit. So you just drag it and drop it to get it to go where you want it to. anything you want to do with the image beforehand, it's a good idea to do in Microsoft Paint, and that will be a different lesson. So you could take this image, for example, and you could invert it. Make it go so she's facing a different direction. That might be something to do in Microsoft Paint beforehand. Now you'll notice that my images don't have a lot of background to them, and that's why I teach you how to put in backgrounds, because you really want those backgrounds in here. It's a lot harder to adjust them to add backgrounds. You want that to be in your original pictures if you can. If you don't like this word, again, you just click on it and you delete it. Now let's say I've started on my page 1 and I decided that I'm not liking the style of the page. So I want to go to a different one, mostly because I've found that over here they have a lot of squares and not as many rectangles that are vertical. So I'm looking at these styles and I'm thinking maybe I should switch. Don't switch if you're already done with pages 1 and 2. It will take too long. But while you're on your first page, it's okay to switch. Now, you can save what you have, so if you want to, you can go back to it. But I'm going to just get out of here and try a different one, because I'm doing a horror story and it's called Halloween Horror. And I really like this one, which actually has horror in the title already. So maybe I should have used this to start with. And I look at it and I think, wow, this has everything done for me. So I'm going to change some wording here, and I'm going to change this by double clicking, and I'm going to call this Halloween. Make sure you're spelling things right, because that will be checked later on. Halloween Horror. So I'm going to delete the Tales of, and maybe move this around. You need to have your name and your grade on the front page of your story. So you'll see me typing that in the upper right hand corner, which is an ideal location. And I'll go over how to move text boxes in just a second. Now notice Sally got divided, so I need to reduce the font size here. I'm going to bring it down to font size 12, and that turned out pretty good. So now I'm going to say Sally McNally is my name. Okay, and I might say grade 7. Okay, that way people know what grade I was in when I did this. So if other people get to read my work, now I have my name attached to it. Over here, I can change this. Maybe I want to say thanks for reading. And notice it changes from a vertical to a horizontal for typing, but it has gone outside of the margins of the paper, so I'm going to have to bring that in a little bit, and once again the font size is going to need to be changed, or it's not going to fit in there. So I go up here to this top bar and I bring in a different font. Now let's see how it goes. That looks okay, but maybe a little bigger would be nice. Try 24, and maybe I'll even add that exclamation point. Okay, now when I click out of it, there it is. That looks very nice. Now, I like that this has a place for me to introduce my characters, because one of our first assignments is to create character sketches. So I'm going to add all of my characters in here, and you'll notice again it pops them in the wrong direction. They're like right in the middle. So before I click out of this, it's a good idea to have that highlight. But if you accidentally click out, you can still double click inside there and it will highlight it again, and you can move it. So now I have my pirate girl. As you can see, I sped up this next section so you don't have to see how I brainstorm what I'm going to type into the boxes and how I make adjustments to the pictures as I put them into the circles. Just try to remember that when you're typing, the things like spelling, punctuation, and even story concept are all going to matter when we get to the stages where we edit and eventually revise our stories. All right, now here I have a big empty space, and we don't want empty spaces. So what are we going to do with this? Well, I can add a picture box. You might want a background first, so you can drag and drop this. like so. And if you don't like that style, you can switch to this style. But I do kind of like the square style, so I'm going to keep that. So now maybe I want to add this other guy that I have here. Maybe he's another character. Maybe he's my main character. So I want him to be front and center. But you don't want big empty spaces. So what are you going to put over here? After you drop this in, you can add a text by dragging and dropping like this. Now please note, I could have just put text in there instead of a picture with text. Okay, maybe I want to make this look a little bigger so everybody fits in there. All right, can I center this? Maybe make it a little larger font. All right. If I want to, I can add a dialog box like this. And that's where he introduces himself, so I might want to move it, relocate it, so it's maybe a little bit closer to his head. It can go outside the box, but when you draw your pictures, it's a good idea to have an open square where you intend to put your dialog boxes. So as you're drawing your pictures, think about where you want your dialog boxes to go, and then you can put them in later. And like I said, it's a good idea to have background objects, some kind of background, even if it's just a bland line in the distance that shows the horizon. Next, I'll show you how to add another page. So pay attention. But once I've finished a page, you can add a page from over here. You simply drag and drop your page onto it, and it will take you to page 2, and you can see what page you're on over here. Again, if I don't want these, I click on them and make them go away. And notice that you can change their font styles. So if you don't like the one that it came with, you can mess around and try different ones. Next, I'm going to show you how to get your pictures from your flash drive into the document you're building. You probably won't be using the sidebar. Now, as far as getting your drawings in there, one of the easiest ways to do it is to find files that are in a flash drive. So, for example, I may go to my flash drive, Art Class, Character Sketch Examples, View Large Icons, and then I can drag and drop those images in like this. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. Now I'll go through those steps again. So if you do not have a file here, you'll need to go into your Start menu and find the File Explorer icon that looks like this. Once in your File Explorer, you can go to a flash drive. You'll need to see it underneath Pictures, Videos, Downloads. Go to a flash drive. In your flash drive, you'll probably see the images, but I happen to have lots of images, so I have mine in a folder. Once I'm in the folder I want, you need to make sure you're under View. You can do large icons, extra large icons, medium icons. I like large icons because I can see more of them. So you guys will only be using drawings. You will not be allowed to use photos since this is an art class, and we will be working on improving our art as we go. So make sure you have drawings in here. Now, before you're done, you need to make sure you save it. And the way you do that is File, Export. Export to Images is one way to do it. Export to PDF. Export to Images means that you can then put them into a Google Doc and share them with me. And you can share them with other classmates as well. Export to PDF is something you're going to do when you're finally done. So we're going to export to images. When I do this, it's a good idea to make sure I know where they're going. To save a single page, go to File, Export, Save as Image, and it will save whatever page you choose. You can choose all of them, or you can say from 1 to 1 or from 2 to 2 to get just one page to save. And when you save it, you want to make sure you save it to your flash drive. Now what I showed you is just how to save them as page images, but eventually you'll want to publish it as an ebook, and that's called a PDF. When you're ready to finalize everything, you're going to export the whole thing, and you want to make sure you pick Pages All as a PDF, and that's a book. So when you're all done, you're going to export it as a book. Now all of my students will be using the same naming method to make sure that they get credit. So when you export it as a PDF, here's what you do. This is going to be my name, so I go in as Sally M, and it's called Halloween. Maybe I want that capitalized, Halloween Night. Once you've given it the title you want, then you hit save, and it will begin to save your document as a PDF to your flash drive, which you can then share with people over email. Now, if I just want to save what I'm working on, so I'm not done yet. I need to figure out what goes in this box. I still have a lot more pages. I've only got part of page 2 done. I have lots more pages that I want to complete. So what I want to do is just save it in here as a Comic Life program that's under construction. So what I do is I go File, Save As, and this is going to save it temporarily. Now it's a good idea to name all of your documents with your name. That way other kids can't claim your material. Trust me, this is very important. So remember, I named myself Sally M, and I'm going to put a little underscore. That means that the computer knows these are different words. Okay, I forgot my Y on Sally M. And I'm going to call this Halloween Night. But it's not going to save it as a PDF. I want to save it as a Comic Life file. So make sure down here it's a document, Comic Life. Don't pick PDF. We're going to save this as an unfinished document so we can continue it later on and work on it the next day. If you do not save your work, it will not be available. It will be deleted overnight by the computer. So you want to make sure you save it. And when you save it, it's a good idea to save it into your flash drive. So again, save as, you want to make sure you go into PC, and then you'll be able to see your flash drives, and you'll go in here, go to, if you have folders, you'll want to keep it in the folder. Mine is page by page layouts and example 1, and I'm going to put this in as a Comic Life. Save. And every day it will keep asking you, do you want to replace it? So as you add more, you're going to replace it. So once I've added another page, say yes. Then I can keep that, or you could call it a different name if you want to keep an original, but this way it will save over the top everything that you've finished. You won't have a whole bunch in there. You'll just have one ongoing project that you keep adding to. Hopefully that's enough to get you started in Comic Life. Bye. Have a great day.